This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
This is Milton Justice. This is I Don't Need an Acting Class, the podcast, loosely based on my book, also called I Don't Need an Acting Class. I'd like to start with a Stella Adler quote that I love, which is, "Acting is no mystery. If you have a craft, it opens up this mysterious thing called talent." So there's an odd thing that I find, which is you cannot talk about acting with an actor, especially a beginning actor, that they don't list chapter and verse the names of all the actors who have had successful careers and they've never studied. I have a feeling it's based on this misconception that acting has something to do with being natural. And in fact, periodically an actor says to me, I went in for an audition and they said to me, just talk, just be natural, as if that's what acting is. Another thing that I think makes it impossible is that when somebody in the audience comments to an actor, they'll invariably say, God, how do you remember all those lines? As if that's also all acting is. God, wouldn't that be nice if that were true? I also think this is an idea I have that it has to do with childhood success. Somehow or another, when you don't know a damn thing and you are a kid and you're acting and everybody responds to it, you say, oh, that's what acting is. And so full disclosure, in the 11th grade, I won Best Actor in high school competition in Dallas, Texas, for my performance of Estragon in our 40-minute version of Waiting for Godot. So, I mean, really, if you've won Best Actor in a Beckett play when you're 16 years old, why would you need an acting class? Other things that I think go into it, my former student, Ben Robeson, who's a British actor, who is now one of the co-stars of an American TV series called Animal Kingdom. And he told me that at the end of his first year in drama school, he felt like he had so many pages of notes, he didn't know what to do with them. It was like the amount of information was so overwhelming, there was no place to slot it. I liken it, and people talk about this, to the story of the centipede that was doing fine walking until somebody pointed out that every single leg was doing something different. And so he got so obsessed with what each leg was doing that he could no longer walk. Okay, so then the question is this. Why would someone who has a knack for acting mess up that knack by studying it? This is a really interesting idea, and boy, it kind of goes through a lot of incarnations of people having discussions about it. There's a writer named David Grove, and I read this oddly enough in a obituary of an actor that nobody remembers called Jan Michael Vincent. And Jan Michael Vincent was a huge star when he was a kid. And what he said in the obituary is, when you're born with natural ability, there's a tendency to get by on that. But it's like a well. When it's dry, there's nothing left because you've never worked to build that foundation. And I thought that really said it. I think that when you're not clear what a process is, you have no idea why you were so brilliant the last time you did it. Or worse, you don't know why you sucked. To me, it's like going on a trip without a map or a GPS. You just hope that when you start out, the signs will be there in the heavens that tell you how to get to New Haven. And, okay, admitted, there are some amazing people out there who get a great part, and through working with the right people or through keen powers of observation, they develop a craft without attending a class. Like years ago, I don't even remember how many years ago, I got a call from my agent who asked me if I would meet with a client of theirs who was a writer and a director. He'd sold a movie to Showtime, and he'd cast an actor that had never had an acting class before. And what he wanted me to do is to look at the screen test and tell him whether or not he should send the guy to acting class in the month before they went into production. So I watched this screen test, and I was just blown away. I mean, it was phenomenal how good this actor was. And so he said, so should I send him to acting class? And I said, absolutely not. You cannot touch it, because his impulses are going to carry him through this movie. After that, it's, up to him. Anyway, the actor was Ryan Gosling. Now, what's really interesting about Ryan Gosling, who happens to be one of my favorite actors, is through working with various people, his keen powers of observation, and working on part after part after part, he has developed such an actor instrument. So I guess my note is here that the decision to take an acting class boils down to this. On the off chance that you don't get a series of career-making parts and have a true rare ability of Ryan Gosling, perhaps you might want to enter into a class where you can learn a craft, learn a technique, and learn a process for working. It leads me, however, to a chapter in my book called The Biggest Sin. What is the biggest sin of an actor? It is my absolute belief that this sin is so big that God gave it to Moses on Mount Sinai, and he happened to drop it on his way down the mountain. The sin is, my producer, Walker, has informed me that's all I get to say today. So it's his fault I'm not telling you what the biggest sin is, but tune in for the next episode and I'll tell you what it is.
Hi, everybody. It's Walker Vreeland. I'm the producer of I Don't Need an Acting Class with Milton Justice. Director of online media is Evan Solers, and music is provided by David DeJuice. If you have a question or comment you'd like Milton to address on an upcoming episode, email us at questionsformilton@gmail.com. Again, that's questionsformilton@gmail.com. And if you like the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. Thanks so much for listening.